What's going on, everybody? So obviously you've heard by this point, Coach Fred has been fired and let go by the superintendent of Eastchester Schools. Fred's been a pillar in the community, 32 years of coaching football and basketball. My point of this video is I just have so many people texting me and calling me and trying to figure out what's happening. And I'm trying to talk to as many people as I can, but I figured just one video I can kind of just send to people so they can look through it and, go through it at their own pace so they can fully understand. And then, I want to kind of go through what the allegations are just so you're kind of aware. And then if you feel like the allegations of what Fred's being alleged to do or saying to do, if you feel like even if he did do it, it's still not that big of a deal, because I think a lot of people feel that. If you want to support Coach Fred, if you want to send a letter, if you want to do something, I'm going to kind of lay out exactly what to do if you want to help with that. So let me explain kind of what happened as far as I know. Understand, I'm not necessarily being biased. I'm just going with the information that I have. There may be gaps to what I'm missing, but ultimately this is, the best way I can kind of explain it. So a couple weeks back, Coach Fred got a letter in the mail saying he was being investigated by the superintendent for things that he's done as a coach in years past. Now, Coach Fred kind of went through his 30 years, okay, what are some of the worst things I've done? And nothing really stood out. He kind of said in passing to me and to others, I think I've cursed a little bit, used profanities. I don't really know what else it could be about. So when he got to the meeting, which was last week, he found out it was having to do with cursing and profanity. So we kind of as a coaching staff and him, we're okay, this is, kind of weird, but it's not going to lead to a fireable offense. But you need to understand the dynamics of it if you don't. Okay, this has nothing to do with the athletic director. This has nothing to do with the principal. This goes above their head. This is a member or two on the Board of Education. They sent a letter along with a couple of other disgruntled parents from the last few years. They sent a couple of letters straight to the superintendent. And what's a little bit annoying with the story is, and I don't want to say too much, is the letters to the superintendent were based on the profanity, but the whole crux of this has nothing to do with cursing. So they're firing him for cursing, but the reason why this all started has nothing to do with this. Okay, there were a couple of parents unhappy the way Coach Fred handles getting certain kids into certain situations. I don't want to say any more than that, but it's all sports related. Okay, it's all high school related, it's all sports related. It's just a process of what a coach does. And ultimately, some of the parents weren't happy how he did that. But they know they can't fire him on that because it's just not a fireable thing. You just can't do it. So they're going with the cursing profanity route. And some of the words that they allege that he uses in the last 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is from the investigation, when I tell you, I don't want to say what the words are because we're on a public video. If I showed you what the words were, you'd be like, really? That's what he's getting fired for? Because a lot of you have played for Coach Fred, or you've played college baseball or high school basketball or varsity basketball or JV football or modified lacrosse. And coaches who are working with that age group will sometimes curse. He's not using the worst of worst curses. It is just cursing. And that is basically the reason he's getting fired, for using profanity. And is a Eastchester High School graduate who went through the whole athletic program. I can assure you, every single coach I've had, including Coach Fred, has also used profanity. And I've also been around many people that were teachers who also cursed. So if that's the kind of standard we're going at, it's an interesting one. I've been coaching since 2009, and I've cursed. I think many varsity football coaches have. And we do it, honestly, out of the goodness of our heart to try and motivate the players to be better. I think you guys would all understand that. So the whole reason why this is happening doesn't even have to do with cursing, but this is what they get him on, because this is the only thing they kind of can get him on. They say that he broke the athletic code of conduct or something, which, yes, I think we all know you're not supposed to use profanity in schools, around children. But if you've been around a 17-year-old before, you understand that sometimes when you curse, it will also bring out the best of what they want to do, and that is used as a coaching tactic. And that's pretty much all it is. So if you feel like using profanity and using certain curse words would be not good, then obviously if you don't want to support Coach Fred, by all means you can. Now there's one word that is being thrown around that he's alleged from using. I can assure you he's never used before. But the ones that, he kind of said, yeah, I've used this language before, thinking if I'm honest, this is not a big deal. There's no way I'd really get in serious trouble for this. Then that's fine. But it ended up getting him fired. So I just want to reiterate again, nothing to do with the athletic director, nothing to do with principal. This went right above their heads. But I need to remind everyone, Coach Fred in 32 years has never gotten a disciplinary letter, a warning, a talking to, and he's had over 7 athletic directors, over 5 superintendents, a couple different principals, okay, who have all kind of been under, who have been his bosses sort of thing. And never once was there ever a discussion like, hey, Coach Fred, maybe we got to bring in the language. We got to talk about it. We need to discuss. Never any of that. It went from you curse, here are some people that say you curse, and you're fired. Okay, there was no warning. This was no this is your 3rd chance, your 4th chance, your 2nd chance. There was never a warning and never discussion. The athletic directors of years past, the superintendents of years past, and the principals of years past have never said anything about warning him about this. And I know Coach Fred, if you probably warned him about it, that would be it. He would never curse again because he loves coaching Eastchester High School football and basketball. So that is why he's getting fired. So for you, you are maybe kind of holding off, I got to see the allegations. You're welcome to, ask other people, but that is it. He is getting fired. I've seen the fired letter, what the letter that got him fired. I don't want to share it because it's a private thing, but when you look at it, it's just because he curses. And not getting into a societal thing, but that is where we're at right now. So if you feel like that's something that you don't agree with and you don't want Coach Fred to be fired over that, by all means, we would love your support. There's a lot of different things you can do, from the range of which being some of the smallest to, obviously helping out in the biggest way. So I think the ways to voice your displeasure is I'll post this in the next box there so you have kind of the links or things that you want to do. I think emailing the proper people is crucial, and making sure you're saying the right things is also crucial. So I want to make it clear. Coach Fred is willing to come back and coach. He loves Eastchester football. He loves Eastchester basketball. He's a pillar in the community. He wants to stay. He does not want to go, despite this whole fiasco and nonsense and, the way they just kind of threw him to the curb sort of thing. He's still willing to coach. And a lot of the players, the current players, are in support of that. So it's not just it's alumni. The current players are in watching this too. So while you're going through this, please just keep in mind, if you're going to call, if you're going to write a letter, if you're going to speak at the school board, make it centered around about the superintendent and the Board of Education changing their opinion and letting Coach Fred coach. We don't need to call names. We don't need to get them disgruntled, okay? Trying to look at it from their perspective. They were presented with this information. As shady as some of it was, they have to make a decision. We disagree, a lot of us, with the decision, but maybe just have them reconsider and just have them kind of go through and think about if they could do something differently. So Ron Valenti is the superintendent. You can email him. I would also CC or also email the Board of Education. Let me say a couple things about the email. If you're emailing, explain who you are, of course. You're free to write your own letter. Just make sure, okay, you can explain how Coach Fred's a big impact, that's all fine. But make sure towards the end you just ask the superintendent to reconsider their position and ask the superintendent. That's all you want, okay? I don't think name calling, I don't think, saying derogatory terms, that's just going to hurt the cause. So if you're going to write an email, make sure at the end you are explaining that you just want Coach Fred to continue to coach and let's put this behind us sort of thing. If you don't know what to write and you just feel like you're not good with words or you just I don't know what really to write, you can email me, apanio524@gmail.com. That'll be on the next slide. And I'll send you a template of a letter you can send. Ultimately, you can just change some of the words around and make it to your own sort of thing. If you feel like you want to speak more in person, you can call the superintendent's office. I'll say the number. It's 914-793-6130. It's extension 4201. I will gladly post that into the next slide as well. But you're going to basically just ask Coach Fred to be reinstated, state your case on that you disagree. They're probably not going to take the call. The secretary might talk to you. You may just go to a message. But, make it known that you would like to discuss this and like Coach Fred back. I think over 900 people have already signed as of 9 p.m. On Tuesday night. I'm sure there'll be more, but if you haven't, if you just, can't really support in any other way, but you want to sign the petition, I'll post the petition link as well. You could do that, change.org. But if you really want to contribute and help out, I know the next school board meeting is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. At 7:30 p.m. If you want to show up to Eastchester High School and at least show your support, I just hope if you show up, you're there in support and, not in a kind of degrading way to anyone there. We want Coach Fred to come back sort of thing. And, you can voice your displeasure. If they let you speak, that would be great. I don't know how they're going to have it all set up. I would imagine that they may have a special meeting. Maybe they'll change it or do it a little bit later, because this is going to be a lot of people if I had to predict. So if you want to show up, I can get you to the meeting, and I'll give you the location, which is at Eastchester High School right now on Tuesday, November 15th at 7:30 p.m. as of right now. So that's the video. If there's any further questions, you can message me, you can call me. I'll try and give you whatever information I can. I appreciate you watching. I also appreciate if you're going to support getting Coach Fred back. I think it's something at this point in time that, even though I am biased and a part of the coaching staff at Eastchester, I think it's something that he should not be fired for. And I think a lot of people would agree. And if you agree, we would love to have your support. So thanks for watching. And please let me know if you have any further questions. Thank you.